delighted to say I'm in good two-way with the team. For the first time in a couple of years, we're expecting now the Red Arrows back.
And they're over there,
Here they are.
And we're not going to let the weather put us off, giving you a good display this afternoon. So indeed, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you, and would you welcome please, the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team for 1991, back again at Leicester. There in 9-arrow formation and begin to turn to the left. I'll shortly be performing for you the classic diamond shape for the first time this afternoon. And leading this and all of the formations is our new team leader for this year, Squadron Leader Adrian Thurley. Now Adrian's returned to the Red Arrows after a 2-year absence, during which he's been training staff and student pilots at Royal Air Force Chibnall. Before that, of course, he was on the Red Arrows for some 3 years and indeed led the synchro pair in 1988. But he presents now with the rest of the team our famous Diamond 9. On the leader's immediate right is Red 2, Flight Lieutenant Gordon Howes. 31 years old, Gordon left the Merchant Navy in 1980 to join the Royal Air Force. Since then, he's flown 2 tours on the Air Defence Phantom at number 56 Squadron at Royal Air Force Watersham in Suffolk. And this is Gordon's first year of display flying. On the leader's immediate left there is Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Neil Rogers. A former Jaguar pilot from Coltishall, Neil served for a tour on 6 and 54 Squadron, the second of which as a weapons instructor. This is also his first season of display flying. The team are now returning from our right in a formation shape that's been featured in our displays for many years. And indeed, at 7 aircraft wide, this is the broadest frontage manoeuvred by any team in the world. And so pulling up now to over 2,000 feet before rolling back down towards us, this is the somewhat curiously named Big Vixen. Playing the red smoke for the first time in this year's sequence. Despite the fact that Britain has recently flown in the Soviet Soyuz spacecraft, this is the shape that we've named after its American cousin, and we call it Apollo. As the smoke comes off, watch closely for the next formation change, because this commemorates the introduction into commercial service of a very famous Anglo-French passenger aircraft at the underside of our Concorde. At RAF Chibnall. But pulling up now from our right is the shape featuring 5 aircraft in line astern and 5 in line abreast. A very difficult rolling manoeuvre, the Tango. Six and 7 just beginning to descend gently beneath them, smoking now red and blue. And a synchro perform their first cross, watch as the 7 aircraft fan out over our heads in the Cascade. On your right now is the leader of the synchro pair this year, Flight Lieutenant John Newton. 35-year-old John is in his 3rd year with the Reds and has over 3,000 flying hours in total. Former Jaguar pilot, John has also completed 2 tours as a tactics and weapons instructor at Royal Air Force Brawley in Pembrokeshire. But let's look now to our left and our right, the chance of a good photograph of synchro as they come towards each other for the first time to fly the opposition barrel roll. Now 4 and 5 team up at centre stage. And complete this manoeuvre with a blue smoke once again. Now, if you're wondering where the synchro pair are captured on film, so watch now, synchro come back in and turn upside down as they fly. Revolver. On our right. With a combined closing speed in excess of 600 miles an hour, they're going to fly up and underneath them, thereby executing the crossing manoeuvre that we call the goose.
Here they come, Rob.
Thereby starting off the twizzle. As the twizzle is complete, we'll now, as all 7 aircraft fan out in 7 different directions with a coloured smoke on, the chance of a great picture. So we say goodbye to the Red Arrows for 1991, the Vixen break.
Lovely.
Training all aircrew and maintainers for the frontline service in ships' flights at sea, both frigates and destroyers. Some of you may be familiar with the Lynx aircraft from recent press coverage in the conflict in the Persian Gulf. The aircraft, the Western Lynx, combined with the British Aerospace Seaskew missile system, was what was used to such devastating effect against the Iraqi Navy.
Ian, just one thing I'd like to ask about the Lynx. It's got what is called a rigid rotor, and that makes it quite significantly different for an air display airplane as, for instance, say, a Gazelle.
That's absolutely right, yeah. It's got a semi-rigid rotor head, which makes it much more manoeuvrable. Basically all the control inputs that are put in go more rapidly to the head. And as you can see from this, it's a fairly agile aircraft, which it actually needs to be for some of the roles it performs in naval warfare at sea.
We got an Army Air Corps Lynx sitting in the head as well. I mean, they've got skids. This has got what I often describe as sort of Tesco sort of shopping trolley wheels. Why the difference?
The difference is because the Army Lynx obviously generally operate from greenfield sites, the Navy Lynx operating from flight decks at sea. It needs a more flexible landing system, and therefore we have wheels on it, which also enables it to swivel on deck, which is something you'll see any moment now. So the aircraft can actually take off into wind. And as Clive comes into land,
The air going over position down to the vertical position, and the control of the aircraft through a little puffet jet sound on the end of the wings and in the nose and in the tail, and that gives the very unusual control that you need for a hovering flight. But I don't
suspected, unfortunately, the Lancaster.
as the aircraft brake left and right. Classic Spitfire wing there, designed of course by R.J. Mitchell. First entered RO service. inside the cockpit, or the officers it's sometimes called, he can look straight through the front of the canopy and see all the information he needs, not only to fly the aircraft but also the weapon release point. Very, very accurate weapon release system, to the extent that though it's nice to have a laser guided bomb, you can still actually drop a bomb very accurately from the Jaguar. Fairly slow speed approach from the right. You can see the fairly high angle of attack, or alpha as they call it. Not quite fly-by-wire, but still quite a good slow speed handling characteristics from the Jaguar. So on the smart watch you can see out of the tail, that's the hyperbolic radar. That's the thing that detection radar or a search radar was actually overtaking the aircraft. It's picked up by the control center.
Couldn't she come down, is it?
She's not coming down, she can't land.
She landed.
The giveaway of the light you can see as the aircraft comes in towards us, that means the gear's down once the undercarriage is down, so the landing light automatically comes on. Standard family consisting of a wife, 2 children, 6 ducks, a spaniel and a rabbit, believe it or not. It's a designating system, and this is why it finally saw operational service down in the Gulf, because when the operations changed to medium level, then the laser designation system was required. In the Gulf, most of the ones that got the main headlines were the GR1s, the bombers. One will actually go to sea, flown by Flight Lieutenant Archie Neal. His navigator, Flight Lieutenant Jim Brown, is designed to defend the United Kingdom Air Defence region, which goes from the north, the Iceland Faroes Gap, right down to the Bay of Biscay. It's not supposed to be a dogfighting aeroplane, it's supposed to be an aircraft that gets up there, stays there for a long time, 200, 300 miles out from the UK land borders, and would destroy an aircraft like Backfire or Blackjack Soviet bomber before it had a chance to release its standoff missiles. In any case, running in to start the display as if he'd just taken off, we've got the 25 Squadron F3 Tornado display. One of these aircraft with a tanker, or 2 of these aircraft with a tanker, could go up and operate off the North Cape of Norway for 4.5 hours on station, which is the sort of thing, as I say, you need to defend such a large area as we have in the United Kingdom. In any case, gear is now down, coming in from the right for the dirty valve. Just look now at the silhouette as the 25 Squadron Tornado comes in from the right for a high-speed path. Looks virtually like a dart.
It's a large one, and it's the biggest one. Look at the size. It's bigger than
Hopefully the people who are running the PA system, because their phone isn't working at the moment, will put on a little bit of music, but we hope will be queued up and ready to go. In any case, it's running in now from the right. 4 Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus engines, each developing 20,000 pounds of thrust. Designed as a strategic bomber, and as you'll see shortly, handles like a fighter.
But its wheels gone. It's not landing. The runway isn't long enough for its wheels.
Nuclear standoff missile Blue Steel when that was taken over by the nuclear submarine, so the Vulcan reverted to a conventional bomber, carried 21 1,000-pound